New Artist Spotlight Podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the New Artist Spotlight Podcast. I am Wilko Wilkes.
And I am Origin Cross. What's going on, guys?
Yep, good to see you all. Welcome to this, the hottest podcast in town, where we interview people from the New Artist Spotlight playlist and hear a little bit more about their lives outside and inside of music. Today, very excited to have with us Mel Randall. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing fine. How are you two?
I'm good, mate.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, can't complain. So here it's a Sunday afternoon, sunny and 100 degrees probably, but you know, we make the best of it.
Well, we don't get that in Scotland.
Yeah, you might not want it. It can be oppressive heat out here. So
Yeah, I can believe it. Yeah.
So, Mel, tell us a little bit about yourself then. I know you're a Yorkshireman originally.
Yeah. Well, basically, I live in a small village in Scotland. Yes, I started basically with music in early 70s, so I've been around a bit. I've sort of done it, got T-shirt, been there, done everything sort of thing for a while. I did have a break for about 20 years and I started up again. And probably 3 or 4 years back, I started recording. Started with my mother, really, when I was a young kid, probably, I don't know, 5, 6 year olds. She was really good on piano, so she learned me piano. But we lived in middle of Sheffield. They call it a slum nowadays, but when you grow up there, you live in a 2 up, 2 down house, outside toilet, and a tin bath hung up on wall. We used to go into the bath every Friday night, and your mother used to, she'd boil kettles, and we'd all take it in turns going in bath in front of the fire. Brilliant. But then, only trouble, we're living in one of those houses, it used to be damp, and eventually piano sort of went mouldy and sort of fell apart. So I sort of had a break from that. Went to school. I ended up doing music like I've always done. Ended up in a brass band at school, playing a flugelhorn or a tenorhorn. But when you can play one of those, you can play just about any brass instrument. And then I sort of picked guitar up when I was about 18. And it's sort of gone from there. Played in groups. Played in one group. It was going to be a superstar group. Like we all think we're going to be rich and famous and while you're working. And actually, drummer, I don't know if you remember a group called the Skids. You know?
Remember them.
They did Into the Valley and 1 or 2. They were sort of in the 70s.
Right.
Drummer used to play part-time with them for some reason. I don't know how that worked out. But we were doing all right. And eventually we had a big place lined up in Stoke, Victoria Hall, Stoke. And then it just fell apart. Basically, the person that sort of formed the group to start with, we'd be playing along and he'd still be, he'd finish, or other way around, he'd got no timing whatsoever. So that sort of group split up. And then I was just in little bits, on and off. Ended up doing country and western and pop. That were a couple of groups I were in. One were called FTM. We never knew what FTM actually stood for. We used to make jokes out, you either forget the mistakes or forget the music. And other one, Fifth Amendment, sort of, I don't know where that came from, but we were doing all right. But with FTM, that's when we split up, because that was about, my son was born in 1982, and we sort of split up then. It didn't help when we go on to working men's circuits, and I used to drive everybody about, and van sort of broke down. So there were only 2 got there. They got paid up, so that would end it grew, you know, like working men's clubs used to be. I don't know, you'll have had them in Leeds, won't you?
Yeah, there was a lot of, they were sort of like, they were still okay, but they're dying off now a bit, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I used to really involved with a folk club at a working man's club north of Sheffield, a place called Stocksbridge. And that working man's club folded a few years back, which was a shame. But if you got on that working man's club circuit, you were laughing really in those days. But And say if you ever got paid off on one, that would end your career at working men's club, unless you were really, really, really well known. They never got paid off. So that were my early years. I sort of had a break, and then somewhere around about early 2000s, club I used to go into, they had a St Patrick's night year before, and you know when you've had a drink and you sort of your old mouth and sort of like that, and I said to him, "Oh, you're not having that act that wrong last year." I says, "Well, what were you?" I says, "Not very good." That was put it politely. So they said, "Well, you couldn't do better. You can't even play out." So I said, "Oh, right. If you've got a guitar, I'd play something for you." So it just happened to be a couple of nights before they'd had a bit of a party and somebody brought a guitar in just as part of a fancy dress, and says, "Here's a guitar." So like you tune it up without any idea what starting with E is, so you tune it up, and I did it at Fairy Tale in New York as sort of instead of Christmas, it was St Patrick's night, and after that I got a regular. I was there all the time, I think it was 2 days a week, possibly 3 sometimes. So that started me off. It was mainly folk music. I was doing pop music and folk music. Because basically, I'm nowadays I'm sort of a folk artist. It was really good because we used to get Irish people in, and there used to be some. I learned a really lot from Irish people with folk music, and but like if you ever look at your song, you look on for Irish folk songs, because I've got to learn about 20 songs for that one night, and I had 2 weeks to do it in. To learn 20 songs. And I think I knew about 2 at that time. So that was good fun. But now it was really good now. And that really started me off again. I was playing gigs and stuff like that. And I had some really good times. But I was playing as a solo artist then. I was never one for singing at the time because we used to go on holidays with kids. We used to go really down south, around Bournemouth area and places like that. And they always have clubs, and they always have singers' nights where you go and sing, you have a competition. And they kept saying, "Go on, have a go." "All right, then, I'll have a go." And I did a song. I can't remember what song. I think it was something like one of the Beatles songs. It was one I knew. And it was that bad. Both judges went, "Oh, God," put their hands up to their ears, shut him up. But then I did learn a lot, because year after, I think it might, unless it was at the same time, because we used to do it all the time, every time we went on holiday. And one of them, I did a song, I thought, I love this song. And this is what I learned from then on. You don't sing songs what you like, you sing songs what the audience want to hear. And lad did play the Hucklebuck, a bit of a lively song, and he won competition. So year after, I thought, I'll do I.O. Silver Lining. I won it hands down, brilliant. So I learned that, and it's always stood me in good stead with playing gigs and that. Play some of your own stuff, but play stuff what people like and what they know. And you have to do a little bit of research on your audience, especially what I do. Because like with folk music, they just prefer traditional folk music. They don't really want to hear your own songs. But then you get a lot of people, and they do want to hear your own songs. So nowadays, I just tend to do a bit of both. But I don't really do any gigging anymore. I mainly go to folk nights and whenever play support for some groups and stuff like that. And that's about all I do now. And that were pandemic what caused that. I don't know how you get on with them, but ever since pandemic started, that's been it. It's all dried up. They're picking their acts, what they used to have, what were lined up. And like with me starting, because I've retired now, because I think I thought up to seeing William Lovett, I thought I was the oldest person on NAS. And he's a year older than me, so I'm only a young spring chicken now. But no, it does open your eyes to what people like, and you do see some really good groups, because I don't see so many nowadays, because I live out in middle of nowhere in Scotland, whereas before I lived in Sheffield, and you used to see a lot of groups, but a lot just used to play their own stuff, and nobody knew it. And instead of just having a mix of covers, that was it, and they just didn't go down well. But it's like, nah, I just do my own stuff now. I've started with recording stuff. I do a lot of classical stuff now. And I'm enjoying that because I used to do classical music straight from day one. I did start doing some classical bits of classical music and then burst into a song straight from it. And I know there's one or two who's done it around the same time as when I started it. But do my own thing. Everybody says, who do you take after? What's musicians? I don't take after anybody. I don't have any. I used to like David Bowie, but there's no way that you could put my sort of music to anything like David Bowie's ever done. And he's done a lot. So that's sort of me. Then I've got with NAS, and that's the best thing that's ever happened to me, I think, in my music career. I just wish they'd been about in 70s.
So what's your experience with NAS been like, and how did you originally find the community?
It's absolutely brilliant. I'm a mentor. I've been a mentor since mentors started. And I get on with all new ones. In fact, all music, I really love all the music, and a lot of music I won't listen to at one time till I started with NAS. And it's really opened my eyes with music. There's so many brilliant musicians on, well, you two to start with, but there's some really brilliant musicians on it, and they just don't. Well, they're getting what they deserve, being showcased, and they're absolutely brilliant. And like Ed, what a man! You can't send him more than that, can you?
No, I mean, I feel like what Ed has done and created here in this community is very rare, right? Very rare that you will have somebody with the intentions and then who has the dedication to follow through, right? I mean, when this community started, there was a lot of people who wanted to be, just get in, use the group for as much as they can get out of it, and then that was it. And Ed led the group to be something more, to be an actual community, right? And Ed saw the fruits of it, and we all get to see the fruits of it as well. I think what Ed did there was something that was needed, right? I think a lot of us ended up finding NAS around the pandemic, and it really was at the perfect time, right? Because a lot of us had either just started to get time to work on music, or just had a chance to get back into it because life had taken us so far away with everything else going on. I think it was the opportunity for some, and then just Ed's determination that really helped build this group and help, just project out a lot of us in where we were.
Yeah, I don't know what you think, but I think nowadays there's more people since around the pandemic started what's doing their own music than what there's ever been. It's like I'll go back to the 70s, and the only way to do your own music in those days where you had to get a record deal or you had to have lots of money. And if you did a record, because I've come across people what actually paid record companies, because you had to pay record companies in those days to release a song. And the record company, you'd have your song. And I've known a lot of people, they paid £300 at that time, which we can imagine in early 70s when wages were about £10 a week, something like that. British money. And you never actually owned that record. And if you couldn't ever play that record if record company said that this is ours. And if they didn't like your attitude or whatever it were they didn't like about you, right, this is our record, we're keeping it. And you paid you £300, have it all recorded, just one song, and you lost everything. A number of people that's happened to, but nowadays, it's unbelievable what you can do nowadays. You get a computer, plug into something with a computer, play a guitar, play a song, all stuff what you can get now. You don't need a record deal anymore. You just put everything on Spotify or and other music programs, and you're laughing.
Yeah, it's great, man. And I think that's something that's nice to see people taking advantage of. And you're certainly one of those, because you've got a lot of tracks there on your Spotify, and I see you've been churning them out quite quickly. So is that because you've got the bug back, or are you recorded songs that you wrote years ago and now you've only just got the chance to put them onto record?
Well, it's mainly I've got a chance to do it now because I've retired. Before I retired, there were people wanting me to do tours and that, and I couldn't, because job I had, I worked all over Scotland. I'd go out on a Monday morning and I wouldn't come back till Friday, and that was it. So that was my week. But now I'm retired, I've got time to do everything. Only thing is, gigs has dried up since pandemic, like I said earlier on. But I enjoy it. I'm doing all different types of music. When I first started, I did my first album, which was called the Stripey Tent, and that's really gone down well. And but I wanted to just change a bit. Instead of doing folk music, I wanted to go more into classical and different types of music, which I'm getting there. I've not released anything for it's a month now since when I think about it. I've not got anything. I've got a song in pipeline, and I've been trying to work on it for 3 months. And as soon as I get going on it, my head goes, I've gone, I have to stop. And it's a song about me growing up in the middle of Sheffield. But like I said, like we two down houses, tin bath outside, and outside toilet, and what it was like to grow up in places like that. Same as that, it didn't have to be Sheffield, it could be anywhere, because all houses, well, I grew up in 50s, I was born in 50s, so you sort of grew up like that. And they were good times, but it's different to what it is now. I wouldn't like to go back to them.
Yeah, well, you have it back now, mate. It's gone. Let me ask you about the Stripey Tent, because you mentioned it then, and I think it's a really great album and very touching and moving in parts. I particularly like the song titled Dementia. Is that a story about your own father, or
no?
That's what I wanted to know as well, like how much of it is your personal experience and how much of it is sort of folk writing, because it's very moving album.
Yeah, it's all my personal experience. It's not to do with my parents as such, but it's family and friends who I've grown up with. And I don't know how it came about. I don't know if I got asked to do it from one of the dementia organisations. I did try to pass it on to I think it was Dementia UK. And they says, "Oh, brilliant, but you'll have to sort it all out." But then they didn't like the song because there's no hope in it. Once you get that disease, it's a horrible disease. Once you get that disease, you might as well just give up, because you're never going to get any better. But it's like one of the parts of it, there's sort of one little bit of humour in it, and it was our next door neighbour at the time. And he used to go down to pub every dinner time. He'd retired. He used to go down to the pub every dinner time. He'd have one pint, see his mates, come back, and that was it. And when he got down with dementia, he'd forgot he'd gone to the pub, so he'd go back down again. A lot of people thought it was funny. Yeah, that was the humorous part. But all the rest of the song, it's what I grew up with. My mother used to dread having dementia because my grandmother had it, and she dreaded it. But in song, I'd actually put my father who dreaded it, but it sort of went better. But my mother would do also. She used to get all these little magazines with brain games in and everything, just so that she wouldn't get it. Well, try not to get it. And then she got hit by a stroke, and that was the end of her. So, but now at Stripey Tent, it's been a good, and it just go down well. A lot of people like it, but I say that dementia, it was just sort of something that stuck in the middle of it.
There's a lot of good storytelling songs on there as well. That the one that comes after that, the pub trip, is good. I really like that. Yeah, talking about like, well, it's very evocative the way you describe everything. A lot. Most of your songs are like stories, aren't they? And I like that.
Yeah, but pub trip, that's just about everywhere in the country. You used to have a pub trip to the seaside, especially if they didn't live anywhere near the coast. They'd have a pub trip somewhere, or a working man's club trip, or any club. And that was the way I grew up. You'd have one day a year, everybody had pubs had shipped to or wherever you went, and they'd have a coach trip. You used to get coaches. Some at clubs, but used to have 24 coaches, and they'd just go to seaside, and that was it. But they always used to stop on way to pub, which I did a reference on it because I put about. In those days, they used to call them shower bangs, but they weren't shower bangs, they were just coaches. And he always used to put that, it convenient said he's brought down outside this pub. We were at the same pub every year, what they used to go to. We go to a place like Scarborough, Bridlington, and it was brilliant.
Classics. These are all Yorkshire places as well for people who are listening. We've got a proper Yorkshireman on here today, not the young pretender like me.
Now, Leeds is Yorkshire.
It is. Yeah, that's cool, man. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is your new track. I think it's your latest track, I Missed This Day. Just on Spotify, it's under Melvin Randall as well as Mel Randall. What's the reason behind that?
I don't know, because my name is Melvin, but I just call myself Mel. When I released it, that's how it came up. I really don't know.
Right. I thought it was an intention.
I've never done it before. It must have just been something. What I pressed the wrong button or something like that, and it came up as Melvin. I don't know. I tend to finish a song off and think that's it. I'm done with that. Get it sent to my distributor, and then I do that as quick as I can just to get shut to it, and then I forget a song after that. And then it came up with Melvin. I really don't know.
I was looking at that same thing. I was wondering if it was intentional because I was actually, for my Apple Music, all of my music is still listed under just Origin instead of Origin Cross when I made the change. And it's been like 2 years and it still hasn't updated to Origin Cross. And I was wondering if maybe that was something I could talk to him about, is just putting like Origin Cross as the, because I know some albums will have like, I guess like an album artist and a song artist or something like that, where it'll list out the specific artist on that song, even though it may be like a group album or something like that. So looking at that earlier made me think of that, try to see if that was a possibility so I can actually have my right name on Apple Music. But I guess it was just a mistake, but it was a hopeful mistake.
Yeah. For purposes, I don't know why, but I've got to put my full name on, it's Songtrader who I use. I've got to put my full name in, and then my artist name. Well, my full name is Melvin Light, but my artist name is just Mel, and everybody calls me Mel. I've been called that for God knows how many years. Too many to remember, so I just call myself Mel. It's a bit embarrassing sometimes because some people think I'm a woman when they see Mel, think I'm short for Melanie or something like that. No, it was just that I missed this day. It was just a mistake. And that's basically it, really, about that.
So today, are we going to be listening to that song, or did you have another one?
No, I did a song. It's a piece of music. Everybody will know it. In the Hall of the Mountain King by Edward Grieg from Peer Gynt Suite. And I used to do the bits of that song, a bit of music, and then I started into a song. And I thought it'd be great to record that and do it into my own style. So when I started that, I did it with like some bells on a synthesizer. And I thought, I've got to add something to that. So I started off, I walked around the kitchen floor to get sound of footsteps. So I started it with footsteps, rain and wind. And then it broke into, as though you go through a corridor. And it was just bell music. And then as I went further on, it broke into an hall where I did drums and guitar, sort of really distorted guitar. It goes a bit wild, and then when it finishes, it's as though you're walking out a door at the other end, and back into rain and footsteps, and that's where it finishes. I really wanted to do that in that style. I've got one or two other bits of classical music lined up, but I don't know whether I'll ever record them.
So do you want the honours of introducing the track?
Yeah. Well, basically, it's my version of Edvard Grieg's In the Hall of the Mountain Kings.
Okay, thank you for letting us play that, mate. Really appreciate it. Brilliant track. Now, one thing that you wanted to touch on today, and that I'm interested in having a bit of a conversation around, is explicit language in music. You wanted to have a little bit. So, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't like it. Basically,
Straight to the point. I like it.
Yeah.
No, I just don't like it. I know.
Have you got any swear words in your whole collection?
No, I haven't. I did one, and I had to look. I even had to look in America because one of the words I was going to put, it's classed as a swear word in parts of America, and it's a song called "Oh What a Fish," one of my songs that I released. And I was going to put blooming, but in parts of America, that's a swear word, which surprised me that. But going back,
That's in my next track, that word.
I know you've done one or two with explicit, but it's
just
all,
one or two. Yeah, I tend to try and use it though as well.
Moderation, just odd bit of a word. There's no problem with that. And like Ed did with his Stop Payola song, that were all right, because that were never going to be headlines on the radio, were it? But it's something that's always got me. It's like jokes. I don't like dirty jokes. I like clean jokes. I've brought up, somebody gave me that, because when you're a kid, all these dirty jokes, but when you grow up, you don't like them. And it's same with music. When I started with music, you couldn't swear in sentences. If you sang a song with a swear word in, that were it. And then even now, this song is about, you might just stick odd wording, but you've got to put explicit, haven't you? As you put it down, you might just put one little swear word in it. And it's got to be down. But some of the songs, what's about now, it's effing this, effing that. And it's all the way through songs, and it's just way too much. But what people don't realise so much, and I don't know if they want to know, or what, I might get people that are saying I'm wrong, but this is my opinion. You're not going to get nowhere with your song if you've got swear words in, because radios and stuff like that, they just don't want to know, do they? And like you go back to Top at Pops in, when did they finish? About 85, 90, something like that. They still don't go. I wouldn't have thought so. And everything had to be clean, didn't it? You couldn't swear. You couldn't swear in 70s and 80s in a song. Well, 70s up to the 80s. There were no swearing in a song, and that was it. That's my sort of opinion on it. I just don't like it. I like to hear a song all the way through. In fact, I've got a computer, and I don't know how it coming, and that won't play explicit songs. And I've tried to get out of that, and there's no way that I can change it. It don't really matter to me, but I just don't like them. That's my two pence.
Actually, I think on Spotify there is a setting somewhere that can let you filter out explicit music. I feel like I remember seeing that like years ago when I was in college. I don't really use it a lot now, but even so, I'm kind of on your side with the swearing and so on. So none of my songs have any swear words in it, at least said by me. And even when I put out my last mixtape, the other artists on the songs, for the most part, whatever they wrote, if they had swear words in it, they like respected me enough to go back and like take out the swear words or change up the lyrics so that it wasn't any curses in the song, which I felt like was just really, really cool. For me, when I was young, some teacher or somebody speaking at some assembly said something along the lines of people only use swear words because they're not intelligent enough to think of a way to say it without using swear words. And like you said, some people may disagree with that, but for me, it kind of resonated, and I always felt like I can say and get across whatever point that I need to without having to use curse words. And that just my extra 2 cents on there.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. Well, I always brought my kids up, and they might disagree with me if they ever listen to this, but I never swore in front of my kids when they were young. As I say, I used to take them to football matches like where there was swearing all around, but I never swore, unless I were on my own. But no, you've got to think, like, you've got your family and they listen to your songs and that. And I know a lot of swearing is with younger kids. And but eventually when they grow up and they've got a family, if I were doing that, I wouldn't want to do any songs where I swore. But then things change. I'm one of the older ones now.
You're the elder statesman now. And I'm sure there might have been a few swear words flying around on Friday night when Nottingham Forest put that late winner in against Sheffield United.
Not for me, because I've got 2 dogs. and I've got to be really quiet because if United score, I cheer. Dogs run and hide. I know if other teams score, they're like the same. They just don't like me watching football.
Okay, it's gonna kick us off in 5 minutes. So I think very quickly we need to do the quick fire 5. Do you know the rules? You've got no more than 15 seconds to answer any of these questions. So question 1 is, what is your favourite song of all time?
My favourite song of all time at this moment in time, and it has been for a long time, is Rainbow. What do they call it? I forgot it. No, it's Rainbow Rising by Rainbow.
If you could have the singing voice of any other artist on the planet, whose voice would it be?
Any artist on planet? It would have been be Rainbow, because I always wanted to do Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow. I always wanted to play it live on stage, and I never have done it.
Okay, question 3. What is your favourite song from the New Artist Spotlight playlists?
New artist, it's going to be a strange one for you, this, because it's the first one that I really came across. I really love it. And it's Anaphora, and it's Zuba, what do you call it? Zuba, it is. I can't remember.
I know that you may not.
I've not heard it for a while, but yeah, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I got in touch with him a while back when I first started with him, and I said, it's a lovely song, that, but what does it mean? And he says, well, we're going to do it in English. Well, up to now, I don't think they have done.
Question number, is it 4? I don't know.
Yeah.
Which band or artist have you seen play live that has been your favorite?
My favourite was David Bowie. Of all time, that was back in the 70s. He just finished doing his Ziggy Stardust, and it was on Station to Station album, and that was absolutely brilliant. After that, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
Class. And question 5, if you could spend a day with one other person from NAS, who would you spend the day with?
Well, there's one person I really would love, and that's Mixed Reaction. He's Crxss. He's a brilliant bloke, and I think in Australia, where he lives, I think if they see him coming on beach with his dog, saltwater crocodiles and sharks, make a run for it.
All right, what do you think, Wilko? How did he do?
I think he did okay, but I think question 4 was it, or question 3? I think it took over 15 seconds, so I think we're gonna have to ban him for an eternity. Yeah. What do you think, Origin?
I think you're right. It was one, you kind of went into a story there, and I think it took you a little bit over. But
I think it was the Anaphora one. So I'm sorry, Mel, but you have been banned. Never mind.
These things happen.
Yeah, go on, Origin.
We will give you the opportunity before your band kicks in to say any final words you have for anybody listening, and let everybody know where they can find your music and support.
Well, they can find my music on all channels, all platforms. I'm on Spotify, Twitter. I'm on Twitter, Mel Randall 11, YouTube. I'm on that twice because my distributor puts them on. Then I've got to transfer them onto another channel. I'm on Instagram with that Threads. I really don't understand that Threads at the minute, but I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. That's basically it.
I used it once and then never went back. I don't know. Is it dead on there, or is it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I just every once in a while try to go back and post on there just to stay active while it's growing.
That's basically what I do. Just keep going on, and but I just can't get it.
Man, just keep going on. You embody that. Keep going on. It's been brilliant to meet you, man, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, it's been brilliant to meet you too.
Yeah, thank you for your time. It's good to get to know you.
All right, thank you, everybody. See you soon. Peace out.
New Artist Spotlight Podcast.